Alright, hi, it's week number 2 of this 52 weeks with Baby Jazz. So, where am I gonna start? Well, I'm in the comfort of her room, and yeah, I'm the one who's gonna be, well, at least using it for the meantime. But yeah, we're still housing her in our room. We made a makeshift bassinet of sorts. So yeah, we're trying to save electricity for the most part of it. But yeah, week 2. How can I describe week 2? Week 2 is better, completely better, totally better than week 1. There are a few things that we once again experience for the first time. So let's start with number 1: bringing Bubba outside. Bringing Bubba outside was quite a challenge to start with. First of all, it's we didn't have an idea really on how to make sure that she's quiet enough or she's stable enough to be placed in a capsule. We were trying to figure that one out initially, and then she was trying to be like, ah! she's fighting the whole restrain me not thing. So and then afterwards, so we finally got her to settle down and lock her in there. It's just interesting to have like a bag, a big 5 kilogram bag with a bit of person in it. So we tried to attach her there. She was fine. She was calm. She was okay from the with the duration of the drive from the house to the hospital. No, not the clinic. Sorry. Took a 15-minute drive. So one thing that I would note really is to make sure that when you're coming out or when you're going to a place and you have an appointment at a specific time, get at least, so if you're driving 15 minutes away from the destination, add at least another half an hour of sorts. Like you're literally leaving the house half an hour, 45 minutes basically from your destination. If you're driving 15, add another half an hour. If you know where you're going, it's fine. If you don't know where you're going, add an hour to it. It's better to wait there, and better to wait at the place where you're going, rather than basically struggling to make up with time. So we drove there. She settled. The GP checked her out, and she was fine. Until we decided to wait in the parking lot. So I decided to get some groceries to bring from home, and then Jessie wanted to get some stuff for herself because she needed to buy some clothes, some maternity clothes that you can just pop in there so that she can breastfeed most of the time. And then, so here's where the struggle went. We didn't have milk to bring because we were purely breastfeeding. And Jessie decided to say, she actually said that we were just going to do it for like 20 minutes, which is fine. The 20 became 30, the 30 became 45. And between the 20-minute mark, she woke up because she left her there sleeping. And then when we reached the 20-minute mark, she woke up. And I tried all the tricks, pretty much. So I had one explosion. So she pooped. Need to change diapers. So after that, she calmed down. Fixed pretty much everything that I can think of. Clothes, change with this. To place her on my shoulders. Went to the side of the parking lot where there's sun. Walked around there. Probably went around the car at least 24 times. It's one of so while we're doing that, we're trying to figure out how to calm her down. So sang songs. You can pretty much put a tune on every single thing that you're doing. So example, let's say like we are walking down around the car, we're walking around the car, and we're going to the sun, we're walking to the sun. So it's starting to like put rhymes and everything, put tunes and everything, and then at the end of it all, maybe it works, maybe not, but yeah. So after that, it took really some time before she came back. Jessie came back, and then yeah, she was just. I had to call her and so like you need to come in now because your kid is like, wah, 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 and I'm running out of tricks. There with the bed, tried to put her down, kind of woke up. Yeah, so. Moral of the story: make sure you have milk. Make sure that she's settled before you put her into any form of restraints capsule whatsoever. Do one task at a time, because you can't stay as a dad. You can't feed her. So if she's hungry and she's not settled, you're in the weeds. So as much as possible, and every time you go to one place, especially if you're going to do paid parking, just try and do 1-2 tasks at a time, and then have another session to go and do whatever else that you need to do. So that was that. Other updates other than that, well, there's a lot of poo coming out, to say the least, which is very, which is great. At least we're not concerned with anything on her digestive tract. We are pretty much going well in terms of like trying to figure out what she wants. But of course, every now then. So there were a couple of episodes wherein she was like, how can I explain it? She was literally just crying and crying and crying. Some people say it's colic. It's an undescribed phenomenon with children. It just depends. I think in our country we call it sumbong, if that makes sense. Yeah, those are one of those things. One of those times wherein she would just like cry it out. And we're not sure really what's the reason behind it, but the worst happened. Yeah, it was a 3-hour marathon. It was really tough, to say the least. We tried feeding her around 12. Then we settled her down, burped, settled, and then she just can't get back to sleep. To the point wherein the decibel of her cry was like reached that point wherein like, oh shit, what was that? I mean, did we do something wrong, or was it real? And we were worried, of course, because we don't know. Like, we did all the checks. Basically now she communicates if she needs to feed. 1, number 2, nappies, poo or pee. 3, pain, if she's not comfortable, or discomfort, bit with the temperature but not so much, and gas. So there are several things that we can look at and have and check if it was any of those things. But we checked them all. It all checked out. She's not eating, she's not burping, she's not doing this. So what was it? Like, we were staring at each other as parents, and we were looking at it, and it's like, what's wrong? Did we do something? She just passed out, basically. I wouldn't call that pass out, but she just she became quiet at some point, and then we just look at each other, and then we just cried at some point between those wee hours of the morning. And then, because we can't determine if whatever she was feeling, and it was a bit frustrating, even for myself, especially for myself, because I can't decipher it. Same thing what I said last videos. It's still a little bit frustrating. Actually, it's a bit more frustrating now because it seems like every day there's a bit of something else that you need to understand further in order for her to settle down. And it's not quite easy for someone who doesn't talk to you, or at least doesn't say what she wants. She's not putting any like sort of it's here, tummy, maybe feed. Like, she doesn't do signs. But yeah, so it's the challenge is really up there, and there was a point where it almost blew out of proportion, but it said like, it's gonna be fine. Most parents go through that phase, and this is probably the phase that we really need to stay strong. On the good side though, so we did the checks today, so we were prepared. Her second trip out of the house, so we make sure she was fed, so she was placed in the car very smoothly. Is there? Pluck. Okay, nice, done. Easy. And then yeah, we strapped her, put it there. She was quiet, driving, no crying. Love, so lovely. And then we were there waiting in the like a common area. The midwives checked her out. Oh sorry, I think that was the nurse. Sorry, nurse checked her out, and then yeah, was great. Her weight was a bit low, but probably because we're not feeding her that much. So the suggestion was to really like set up a more frequent feeding pattern of at least 3 hours intervals in a day. So we have to make sure we wake her up so that she can get a little bit more sleep in the night. So we're gonna try and do that. A bit of supplements for like vitamin D because it's a bit low. Sure, her reflexes are very well. Her legs, her neck is strong. The clicking on the hips is still there, but it's still too early for them to make any sort of conclusion. So we'll just have to make sure that we do our best to make sure that her legs are positioned properly as much as we can, and then try to limit strain and make sure she's comfortable. Other than that, really just have to maintain everything. The rashes are normal, the crying is normal. Apparently babies are just like that. And yeah, so there was a lot of good news actually for a week, because she's not sick, or at least she's not getting any sicker, and we don't need to worry much about a lot of things, or at least not for now. But with the pandemic now, we're hitting a bit more cases than usual. A bit scared, of course, trying to see where I'm at, because I'm going back to work. I'm not even sure if we're gonna because there's a lot of slowing down when I visited the city the other day. It's really causing a lot of panic because of just one person who actually just went out and about and say like, all right, now here we go guys, there's a lot more people infected. So it's a bit scary now trying to go home to Bub. So hopefully that doesn't go more than it should, or else it's like a matter of like, okay, how are we gonna make sure we get to work? it's a bit I'm gonna say this, it's a bit scary, to be honest. So other than that, everything is really well. I just hope that it stays that way. We don't see any other form of illness, any form of complications whatsoever, which is good. The only thing that really matters right now is our mental health, to make sure that we are checking ourselves here and there, taking as much rest as we can, sleep, and just to not be overwhelmed. Well, of course it's going to be overwhelming, but at some point they advise us to just take a chill pill at some point, and just be a bit more open, and at the same time be a bit more accepting with what the status is, and just be on the lookout for signs of what Bubba wants, because at the end of the day there's only a few things that she can do for now, and those are the clues. We just have to make sure that we keep ourselves in line with what the cues what are the cues that she gives us, and just make sure that it's being remedied as soon as the signs show up. Other than that, it should be fine. It should be fine. So again, that's week number 2. Hopefully we can get a bit more of good news next week, and yeah, for all of you guys, you just have to make sure that you really check on yourselves when you're on this stage, because especially in our state, you can't depend on anyone. So it's up to you. Make sure you're physically well, mentally prepared, and mentally capable, and of course, always take a self-check and see where you're at, because at the end of the day, it's just gonna be you, mama, and you and mama. So again, thank you for listening to my wild stories. Till next week, this is Jasper signing off. Wish you well, stay safe, and see you next week. Bye.